My boss promised me a promotion if I helped her get my colleague fired. I did the exact opposite, and I ended up in her job instead. My name is Monica. For 6 years I worked in a department ruled by fear. Not chaos, not shouting fear. A quiet, polite, smiling fear, and its source was one person, my boss Sylvia. And on the day she took me aside and offered me a deal, she thought she had found another accomplice. She had no idea she had just made the one mistake I had been waiting years for. This is the story of how a quiet, watchful employee, the one everyone assumed was harmless, spent a few weeks documenting the truth about her boss, and what happened when I finally stopped pretending I didn't see anything. I have to explain to you first how Sylvia operated, because without that you won't understand why no one stood up to her for so long. Sylvia did not rule through competence. She ruled through fear, but done so subtly that from the outside it looked like ordinary management. She never raised her voice. She never said anything you could quote in a complaint to HR. Her weapons were half sentences, glances, suggestions. I wonder if this role is really right for you. I've heard some opinions about you. It would be a shame if this affected your future here. She divided the team. She had her favorites, the ones who flattered her, informed on others, stayed loyal. And she had her targets, people she had decided, for one reason or another, to destroy. Usually they were the most talented, the most independent, the ones who might someday threaten her position. I survived 6 years because I learned to be invisible. I was quiet, competent, but not so competent that I shone. Polite to Sylvia, but never too close. I watched. I saw people come and go, saw Sylvia mark someone, slowly isolate them, and then once they were weakened and alone, get rid of them, always through someone else's hands. Because that was her method, and I understood it better than anyone. Sylvia never got her own hands dirty. She always found someone on the team to do the dirty work for her, to gather the evidence, to inform, to undermine. And then that person was left with the consequences, while Sylvia kept her hands clean and her smile intact. I saw it happen 3 times in 6 years. And every time I thought, someday someone should stop this. I didn't yet know that someone would be me. The target appeared in the form of Hannah. Hannah had joined us about a year and a half earlier. She was everything Sylvia hated. Talented, confident, independent. She wasn't afraid to speak up in meetings. She had her own opinions. Clients liked her. And, worst of all from Sylvia's point of view, she didn't need Sylvia's approval to feel valuable. I watched Sylvia begin to mark her. The same signs as always. Small jabs in meetings. Leaving Hannah out of important projects. Sowing doubt. Don't you think Hannah can be difficult? The slow, methodical isolation. And then one afternoon, Sylvia called me into her office and closed the door. I was surprised. Sylvia rarely paid attention to me. I was part of the background to her, which suited me fine. But that day she was unusually warm. She offered me coffee. She said she had been watching me for a while and saw potential in me. And then she got to the point. She said Hannah didn't fit the team. That she was problematic, too confrontational. That it would be better for everyone if she left. And that she needed my help. Specifically, she wanted me to start gathering material on Hannah, to note her lateness, her mistakes, her slip-ups, to report her difficult behavior, to build documentation that would let Sylvia justify firing her, and in return a promotion, Hannah's position once she was gone, a higher salary, a future at this company. I sat there, holding that coffee, and listened to my boss, in a calm and friendly voice, propose that I destroy an innocent person in exchange for a promotion. And I smiled. And I said I understood. That I appreciated her trust. That I would see what I could do. Sylvia was pleased. She thought she had found another accomplice, another pair of hands for the dirty work. She had no idea that in that moment, something in me that had been waiting 6 years had just woken up. And that from that second on, I was no longer working for her. She, without knowing it, had just started working for me. I left Sylvia's office with apparent calm, but inside, I had already made my decision. Not the one she was counting on. I could not do to Hannah what Sylvia asked. That was obvious from the first second. Hannah had done nothing wrong. Her only crime was being talented and confident. Destroy her for a promotion? I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror. But I also knew that open defiance would be suicide. If I went to Sylvia and said, "I won't do this," I would become the next target. Sylvia would destroy me first, and then get Hannah anyway. A heroic gesture that would leave 2 people gone from the company instead of 1. Pointless. So I made a different decision. A quiet one. A patient one. The kind Sylvia would never expect from me. I said yes, and I actually did start gathering material, documenting, taking notes, building a dossier, exactly as she asked. Except not on Hannah. On Sylvia. I understood in that moment something that changed everything. Sylvia had just given me the reason and the cover to do exactly what I had dreamed of for years. I would be gathering evidence. So no one would find it strange that I was taking notes, that I was watchful, that I was documenting. But the subject of my documentation would not be an innocent colleague. It would be the predator who had spent 6 years destroying people through other people's hands. Sylvia had given me a spy's assignment. I decided to use it against her. I gave myself as much time as it would take. I didn't rush. I knew I had one chance. If I struck too early with weak evidence, Sylvia would wriggle out as she always did and destroy me. I needed everything. A complete, unshakable picture of who she really was. And I began. Over the following weeks, I did something Sylvia didn't notice at all, because she was convinced I was working for her. I documented every meeting we had about Hannah. Every time Sylvia gave me an instruction, find something on her. Note that lateness. Write that she was rude. I recorded it. Precisely. With the date, the time, the context. Not the false accusations against Hannah that she expected from me, but a true record of how Sylvia was instructing me to fabricate those accusations. I saved emails. Sylvia was careful, but not perfect. Sometimes she wrote something, a suggestion, an instruction, that on paper looked very different from what she intended. Every such email landed in my private archive. I talked, carefully, as if in passing, with the people who had left, with those 3 people Sylvia had destroyed before me, and I discovered something that froze my blood. Every time it was the same pattern. Sylvia would mark a talented, independent person. She would choose someone from the team, like me now, to gather material on them. She would isolate the victim, build false documentation through someone else's hands, and then fire them. And every time, she came out clean, because the dirty work was done by someone else. This was not a single incident. It was a pattern, a method, repeated over and over for years. And suddenly I understood that what I was doing was more important than saving Hannah. It was about stopping something that would continue forever, victim after victim, if no one documented it and showed it to the right people. I gathered everything. The record of Sylvia's instructions to me, the emails, the accounts of the previous victims, forming an undeniable pattern. A complete, cold, documented picture of how my boss systematically destroyed the best people on the team, and did it through other people's hands. And Sylvia, the whole time, thought I was her most loyal accomplice. She smiled at me in the hallway. She asked, "How's the Hannah situation going?" I answered that I was gathering material. I need a bit more time to make it solid. I was telling the truth. I was gathering material. I needed it to be solid. Just not on the person, she thought. When I had everything, I did not go to Sylvia. I went over her. I took the entire dossier to HR and to senior leadership, to people who had the power to do something with it, and who stood high enough that Sylvia couldn't manipulate or silence them. I presented it not as an emotional complaint, but as what it was, documented, organized proof of systematic behavior. Here are the instructions I received to fabricate accusations against an innocent employee. Here are the emails. Here are 3 previous people who went through exactly the same pattern. Here is the method. The effect was immediate and total. Because it is one thing to suspect that a manager is difficult. It is entirely another to have documented proof that she systematically instructs subordinates to fabricate false accusations in order to get rid of inconvenient people, and that she has done it for years. That is not a matter of management style. That is a serious violation, legal and ethical, that exposes the company to enormous risk. Leadership could not ignore it. Not with evidence like that. Sylvia lost her position. There was no public scene. Companies don't like those things, but she was gone. Quietly, quickly, finally. The predator who had hunted the best people on the team for years was finally stopped by the person he considered harmless. Hannah stayed. She never found out, at least not right away, how close she had come to being destroyed. She went back to work, still talented and confident, unaware that someone had quietly stood between her and the edge. And me? I got a promotion. But not the one Sylvia had promised me. Not a position torn from an innocent colleague as a reward for informing. I got a real promotion, from leadership, who saw that in a department full of fear, one person had the courage and the character to do the right thing. A promotion for who I am, not for a betrayal I refused to commit. The lesson I took from this, and the one I want to leave you with, is simple. Loyalty bought with betrayal is not loyalty. Sylvia offered me a promotion in exchange for destroying an innocent person, and she thought it would work, because it always had. There was always someone who, for their own gain, did her dirty work. She counted on me being that kind of person. She was wrong. And that was her undoing. Not my courage, not my cleverness, but her own assumption that everyone can be bought. That loyalty to a predator is just a matter of price. There are things you don't do, even for a promotion. You don't destroy innocent people. You don't become the instrument of someone else's cruelty. And when someone tries to make you into that instrument, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is turn that instrument against them. Sylvia gave me the task of destroying an innocent person. I used it to stop a predator. I kept the receipts, not on my colleague, but on the person who wanted me to destroy her. And when the time came, those receipts told the truth Sylvia could no longer wriggle out of. The truth of who she really was. Thank you for being here for this story. New story every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If someone has ever asked you to harm an innocent person for your own gain, remember that you have a choice. And that sometimes the right choice is also the strongest one. I will see you in the next one. Let me go deeper into this story because the weeks I spent watching Sylvia taught me things about fear, power, and complicity that I have never stopped thinking about. First, I want to talk about how fear-based management actually works, because understanding it is the key to surviving it, or stopping it. Sylvia's power did not come from her authority. It came from fear, and fear is a strange thing. It does most of its work in the mind of the victim, not through any real action by the person who inspires it. Sylvia rarely had to actually do anything. The fear of what she might do was enough. People censored themselves, isolated themselves, turned on each other, all in anticipation of a punishment that most of the time never even had to come. This is the terrible efficiency of fear-based rule. A leader who governs through fear doesn't need to punish often. They need to punish visibly, occasionally, and let the memory do the rest. Sylvia destroyed maybe one person a year. But that one destruction, witnessed by everyone, kept the entire department in line for the other 11 months. We all saw what happened to the last person who stood out. So we made sure not to stand out. We policed ourselves, out of fear, far more effectively than Sylvia ever could have policed us directly. And there was a deeper cruelty in her method. She made us complicit. By using team members to do her dirty work, to gather the false evidence, to inform, to undermine, she spread the guilt across the whole department. We weren't just victims of Sylvia's cruelty. Some of us, at various times, had been instruments of it. And that shared complicity bound us to silence. How do you report a system you have, in some small way, participated in? Sylvia understood that a team that shares guilt cannot easily unite against the person who caused it. I understood this, and it is part of why I acted as I did. I refused to become another instrument. Because I saw that every person who did Sylvia's dirty work didn't just harm the victim. They deepened the whole department's paralysis, tightened the web of shared guilt that kept everyone silent. To refuse to be her instrument was not just to protect Hannah. It was to refuse to add another thread to the web. Second, I want to talk about why I chose patience and documentation over confrontation, because I think it is the most important strategic lesson in this story. Every instinct, when Sylvia made her proposal, screamed at me to refuse openly, to tell her exactly what I thought of her, to defend Hannah to her face. And every one of those instincts was wrong, not morally but strategically. Here is the principle I understood. When you are in the weaker position, revealing your intentions only forfeits your one advantage while changing nothing about your actual power. If I had defied Sylvia openly, I would have informed her that I was a threat, while remaining too weak to actually threaten her. She would have simply destroyed me first. My open defiance would have been a gift to her, advance warning, with no cost to her at all. Patience did the opposite. By appearing to comply, I kept my true intentions completely hidden. Sylvia believed she had recruited another accomplice. She relaxed. She stopped watching me. She even gave me cover, because now my note-taking, my watchfulness, my documentation, all looked like the work she had assigned. I was never safer, never more free to gather what I needed, than when Sylvia believed I was on her side. This is the strategy of the underestimated. When someone with power over you believes you are harmless, or believes you are their ally, they lower their guard. And a lowered guard is an opening. I did not defeat Sylvia by being stronger than her. I was not stronger than her. I defeated her by letting her believe she had already won, and using the space that false belief created to quietly assemble the truth. There is a discipline in this that is hard to maintain. It meant smiling at Sylvia while I documented her crimes. It meant saying the Hannah situation is progressing, while I built the case that would end her career. It meant carrying, for weeks, a secret that a single careless word could have exposed. That discipline, the ability to hold your true purpose completely hidden while you prepare, is what separates those who successfully stop a predator from those who merely announce their intention to and get destroyed for it. Third, I want to talk about documentation, because it was the weapon that made everything possible. The reason predators like Sylvia thrive is that their cruelty is usually undocumentable. It lives in half-sentences, in glances, in deniable suggestions. I wonder if this role is right for you, is not evidence of anything. Sylvia had spent years perfecting a style of cruelty specifically designed to leave no trace. Nothing you could take to HR, nothing you could prove. Documentation defeats this. Not by capturing any single damning moment. There rarely is one, but by capturing the pattern. One deniable suggestion is nothing, but a careful, dated record of dozens of them, showing a clear and deliberate campaign, becomes undeniable. The individual drops of water mean nothing. The record of the steady, patterned rain becomes proof of a storm. And crucially, I documented not just Sylvia's words to me, but the corroborating pattern from her past victims. This was what transformed my dossier from one employee's account into proof of systematic behavior. Any single person's story can be dismissed, but 3 independent accounts, from people who didn't coordinate, all describing the identical method, that is a pattern, and a pattern cannot be explained away as a personality conflict or a disgruntled employee. The pattern was the proof. I want to be clear that I documented honestly. I did not fabricate anything, did not exaggerate, did not twist Sylvia's words into something they weren't. I didn't need to. The truth, accurately recorded, was damning enough. And honesty mattered. Because the moment my documentation contained a single false or exaggerated claim, Sylvia could have used it to discredit everything. The power of my dossier came precisely from its cold, verifiable accuracy. I let the truth do the work, because the truth was more than sufficient. Let me bring this toward a close with what I understand now. In the role I earned honestly, in a department that no longer runs on fear, the first thing I did when I stepped into a position of responsibility was to become the opposite of Sylvia in every way that mattered. Where she ruled by fear, I tried to lead by trust. Where she divided the team, I tried to unite it. Where she made people complicit in cruelty, I tried to make them partners in something worth building. I had spent 6 years studying up close exactly how to poison a workplace. I used that knowledge as a map of everything not to do, and I watched the department change. The fear that had hung over everything for years slowly lifted. People began to speak up again. The talented, independent people, the ones Sylvia would have marked as targets, began to thrive instead of hide. Hannah, who never knew how close she had come to destruction, flourished. The whole team became something it had never been allowed to be under Sylvia. A place where being good at your job was rewarded instead of punished. I think often about the strangeness of how it all happened. Sylvia handed me my weapon. If she had never made her proposal, if she had chosen someone else to do her dirty work, or found some other way to destroy Hannah, I might have spent another 6 years as I had spent the first 6. Silent, watchful, complicit through inaction, telling myself that someday someone should stop her. Her proposal was the thing that transformed me from a bystander into an actor. She reached out to make me her instrument, and in doing so, she put into my hands the exact tool I needed to end her. There is a lesson in that about the arrogance of predators. Sylvia was so certain of her power, so accustomed to everyone being corruptible, that she never considered the possibility that the quiet employee she approached might refuse, and worse, might turn the assignment against her. Her downfall was not bad luck. It was the inevitable consequence of an arrogance that had never been challenged. She had gotten away with it so many times that she could no longer imagine getting caught. And that failure of imagination was the crack through which everything came apart. I want to speak directly to anyone listening who is trapped in a workplace ruled by fear, watching a predator operate, feeling that there is nothing they can do. You may have more power than you think. Not the power to win an open confrontation. That may genuinely be beyond you, as it was beyond me. But the quieter power of the underestimated. The power to watch, to document, to wait, and to act at the right moment with the right evidence given to the right people. Predators like Sylvia rely on your silence and your sense of powerlessness. They rely on you believing that because you can't win directly, you can't win at all. But directness is not the only path. Patience is a form of power. Documentation is a form of power. Being underestimated is a form of power. And the right truth, given to the right people at the right time, can end in weeks a reign of fear that lasted years. I also want to say something about the moral core of this, because it matters more than the strategy. The turning point of this entire story was a single refusal. I would not destroy an innocent person for my own gain. Everything else, the documentation, the patience, the justice, flowed from that one decision. And I want you to understand that the refusal came first, before I had any plan, before I saw any way to benefit. When Sylvia made her offer, I did not think, I'll refuse because I can turn this against her. I thought, I cannot do this to Hannah. And only afterward did the path forward reveal itself. That order matters. The integrity came first and the strategy followed. I did not do the right thing because it was clever. I did the right thing because it was right, and then I was fortunate enough to find a way to make the right thing also effective. But even if I had found no way to benefit, even if refusing had cost me everything, it would still have been the right choice. Some lines you do not cross, regardless of the price. The promotion, in the end, was not the reward for my cleverness. It was the reward for a character that refused to be bought, discovered by people who valued exactly that. They offered me a promotion to help destroy an innocent woman. I refused, and instead I ended the person who had been destroying people for years. I kept the receipts, not on my colleague, on the predator who wanted me to become one of her weapons. And in the end, the truth I recorded did what years of fear had prevented anyone from doing. It stopped her. Thank you for listening to all of it.